It's clear that the Kremlin views Ukrainian history as a threat. It's something that needs either to be distorted as Russian history or destroyed.
Yes. And if you look at how Moscow actually frames this issue, Russia considers Prince Volodymir's baptism in 988 the founding point of Russian statehood. At the same time, Russia's FIMI admits that Volodymyr was the Prince of Kyiv, and that Moscow would only be founded 159 years later.
Right, so they've basically hijacked that entire medieval legacy to claim Ukraine has no historical right to exist as a distinct sovereign nation. It's flat out absurd, but they've turned this historical revisionism into a foundational pillar of their state ideology.
Exactly. It's the imperial myth, which claims Ukraine is just an artificial construct. And this isn't just an academic debate, it's a weaponized narrative designed to justify military aggression. But what's truly alarming is how the Kremlin is now turning their foreign propaganda playbook inward, directly targeting their own population, starting with the absolute youngest.
When you say the youngest, we're not just talking about high school kids or teenagers getting some state-approved history lessons, are we?
No, not at all. The European Union's disinformation watchdog, EU versus Disinfo, recently highlighted how this ideological control has expanded down to preschools. We are talking about children as young as 3 years old. They are introducing basic military patriotic education at an age when kids are barely learning to read.
3 years old. It's absurd. At 3, kids should be playing with blocks, not being prepped to view the world through a permanent geopolitical telescope. How do you even structure propaganda for a toddler?
Well, it's done through heavily curated play and simplified stories about heroes and traitors. As they get older, it morphs into structured curriculum additions, like the Conversations About Important Things lessons introduced across Russian schools. The goal is to manufacture what they call true patriots and normalize the idea of a perpetual civilizational struggle against the West.
Confidential. So it's a closed loop. They rewrite the history of Kyivan Rus to say Ukraine isn't real. Then they feed that exact distortion to Russian toddlers to prime them for war. It's a unified system of control. They're preparing their own domestic population for a prolonged imperial conflict by engineering a generation that has never been allowed to think otherwise.
Precisely. It's about securing the demographic and psychological pipeline for the state's long-term military ambitions. By institutionalizing this narrative from preschool to adolescence, they ensure there is zero space for alternative viewpoints or domestic dissent.
But it goes further than just brainwashing their own kids, doesn't it? Because while they're indoctrinating children inside Russia, they're actively taking children out of Ukraine. The sheer scale of the forced deportations is what really shows the darker side of this project.
Yes, the unlawful deportation and forced transfer of Ukrainian children to Russia. And what's crucial to understand is how the Kremlin uses disinformation to completely invert this reality. They frame these systematic abductions as a humanitarian rescue mission. They claim they are saving vulnerable children from a war zone while blocking any efforts by Ukrainian families or international bodies to track them down and bring them home.
Humanitarian rescue. It's the ultimate gaslighting, isn't it? You bomb their cities, force their parents into filtration camps, and then hand the kids over to Russian families for fast-tracked citizenship and Russification. I mean, the International Criminal Court didn't issue an arrest warrant for Putin over a minor misunderstanding. Under international law, this is a textbook war crime.
It is. Article 2 of the Genocide Convention explicitly states that forcibly transferring children of one group to another group is an act of genocide, because it systematically cuts the child off from their national, cultural, and linguistic identity. They are forced to speak Russian, taught the revised history we just discussed, and told that Ukraine never cared about them.
It's demographic engineering on a massive scale. And they're not even hiding it. Well, they hide the crime, but they boast about the integration. How are they handling the pushback on this internationally?
Through a highly coordinated digital denial campaign. We see state-controlled media, diplomatic accounts, and online echo chambers, including major platforms, being flooded with narratives that deny the abductions or mock international concerns. They use these networks to muddy the waters, spread fake stories of happy, adopted children, and obstruct accountability by demanding unrealistic proof from grieving Ukrainian relatives.
So when you connect all these pieces together, the rewriting of Kyivan Rus history, the preschool brainwashing inside Russia, and the literal physical theft of Ukrainian children, it's not three different random policies. It's a single, highly coordinated, three-pronged campaign of cultural erasure.
Exactly. It's a total war on identity. They attempt to erase Ukraine's past through historical revisionism. They secure their own domestic future through early childhood indoctrination. And they attempt to systematically dismantle Ukraine's demographic future by stealing its youth. It is a deliberate, state-sponsored attempt to make sure a distinct Ukrainian nation simply ceases to exist.
It's a sobering realization, but understanding how these pieces connect is the only way to effectively dismantle the propaganda. All right, that's a good place to wrap this up. Thanks for the deep dive.
Thanks. Glad we could lay it all out.